Hey, how you doing? This is John, and welcome to John's Long Box. I'm here with Jon Dexter, who's got an active campaign called Dime Store Detective. I'll put your links in the private chat so I can throw them in the public chat. I
Yeah.
forgot to do that before we went live. And while you're doing that, I'm going to eat a Milano cookie.
Oh, that sounds good.
That's the secret to my beard: inactivity, coffee, and junk food.
That sounds like a good life.
Yeah, I hit two wrong buttons already, and I just panicked. I thought I turned off the stream. I don't know what's going on today. I was telling John before we went live, since he kind of works in construction, even though I'm not as a construction worker, but you do I forget, engineering.
Yeah, I work for engineering company. This is the long version, so of my my Kickstarter, but it's that works. Yeah, it's I'm an inspector for construction. I work for engineering company, so I'm actually doing 6 bridges right now in Albany, Michigan. So luckily we're about done with them now. So we're on the last 3 bridges.
So we were talking before we went live that I'm working in a guy got kicked off my job for vaping. He was outside of the loading dock area, so basically outside the building, and he's vaping. Somebody caught him, threw him off the job. And now today, I'm working in an area with 2 guys. Well, the guys are doing nothing wrong. They had a little vacuum. They had a pad set up to put up, but there was just fumes in the air. And I was like, I don't know why I was so angry all day long. And my foreman comes over and goes, John, get over here. And I thought I did something wrong. I'm walking to the other room where there's cross ventilation. And he goes, you've been breathing out fumes. Are you okay? And I'm like, I am now. Like, I didn't realize. So anyway, long story short, you got the good side of construction. You don't have to breathe in fumes, and you're outside.
Yeah. Luckily, I'm outside. The worst fumes that I smell are the asphalt. I got to walk by an asphalt truck and collect tickets and measure, and it's a little stinky, but it's nothing to cry about.
Oh, the worst. If we want to compare smells, I worked at a sewage treatment plant. They need electricity too. Yeah. The good thing about a sewage treatment plant is the bosses never come to check up on you. I wonder why.
Yeah.
And it's kind of just like nobody wants to eat their lunch. Nobody wants to have a coffee break. You don't want to. So it's just no breaks. Let's do our job and get out as early as possible. So some guys love it.
Mm-hmm.
But
I wouldn't.
It's in your body hair. You know what I mean? Like you kind of change, you leave your clothes at work because it just, like you come home. My wife is like, you smell. I mean, they cover everything with chemicals, so it's not raw sewage, but it is just an unpleasant. It's raw sewage with chemicals, So it's just horrible. But
I was actually at they were building a new water treatment plant where I was out last week to do some concrete testing, and the one that they've been using is very old and very stinky, and the wind was blowing right in my face. It was pretty nasty, but yeah, I couldn't do that work. They said after like, what is it, 30 seconds, 2 minutes, that your nose adapts to any smell, so you don't smell it,
right?
Apparently, but I was smelling it pretty good that day.
I think that's why I got used to the fumes today. After a while, but it's funny now because I come home, I take a shower, and I smell it in my beard.
Mm-hmm.
It can be nauseous. But I'll tell you the grossest thing I've ever done, and then we'll talk about your comic, which is a wonderful comic, by the way. I was working in the sub-basement of a Chase Bank in Chinatown, and I was an apprentice at the time. And me and the guy, we went all the way down, like below, and there was just this big pipe, and we had to get on the pipe and work on power. And below us was just a river of sewage, like you would see.
Yeah, that's horrible.
Brown, disgusting, and it stunk. And all I could think of was, "Don't drop my tools."
Yeah,
and and we're riding this pipe, like we didn't. This was like 25 years ago. Like we didn't think of like straps. Can you imagine if I fell in? Oh my God!
the rest each alive there.
But anyway, we're done talking about that. We're going to talk about something good. We're going to talk about Dime Store Detective, a comic that I'm eagerly awaiting for the next issue. It is, in my opinion, the best written out of all the indie comics.
Oh wow! Well, I really appreciate you saying that. That's a huge honor for you to say that. I really appreciate it. Well, you're gonna really love the fifth one because in the fifth one, the last panel changes the whole trajectory of the story. So I'm not gonna give anything away, but if you watch the trailer, it's very true. The last line there. So I'm really excited that the story changes course. So the first 5 issues up to the last panel, has been building on the story. Now we're going to get some payoffs on the last 4 issues. So it's going to get really exciting, but this one's going to be great too. So I'm trending better than I have trended for the previous one. We'll see what happens. I'm still not funded yet. So we'll see, but we're getting there. We're plugging away.
I think this is just a tough time for all crowdfunders right now, big and small. Guys like us. Like I'm doing like a third of what my first campaign did. I'm not panicking yet. I'm still getting a sale every day, and if I get a sale every day, I'll get to where I need to be. But man, is it excruciating? It is. It's like
it's been a grind. The nice thing is currently. I don't know about money wise, but currently I'm about 6 or 7 backers more than the last issue, which was my best issue for the dime store. So hopefully everything keeps going well. I'm going to beat my record I might beat my all-time record in backers. We'll see. It's still very early, but you've got all these watchers and it's great. I mean, I'm glad I have watchers, but I think people don't understand that with Kickstarter, you can back it now and you don't have to pay for it until after the Kickstarter ends. So while I'm gaining a lot of back watchers is great, but hopefully it turns into sales.
Yeah, I mean, I'm getting the same thing. A lot of people sending me messages. John, I didn't forget about you. I'll back when I pay off X or when I do this or whatever. So
that's like when you go to Comic-Con and they say, I'll be back at your table, and then they never show back up again.
Let's forgive me for eating a cookie. I'm going to make this big, and I'm going to play a trailer. All right?
That sounds good.
Cool. I made. Oh, let me put our faces back in. I've been telling everybody this is one of my favorite series for that I packed. Mainstream or indie, but I'm more focused on the indie scene these days. So this is one of my favorite comics. I'll put this up there. This comic, Something Big by Chuck Dixon, is the comic that I've been raving about lately. But I'll be raving about Dime Store Detective when I get number 5 again. I can't wait. I was like, not even kidding. I was a little mad that you did Alpha Dogs first. I was like, come on.
I know. Yeah. I remember. I've heard a lot of good things about Chuck Dixon. I'll be honest. I've never read his work. I need to because one thing he just killed it.
How long you been reading comics?
Oh gosh, Well, I've been reading since I was a teenager when the X-Men cartoon came out on Fox Kids. That's when I was exposed.
I bet you read something by Chuck Dixon. You didn't realize it. That's how prolific he is.
Yeah, I never really look at when I was growing up. I never really cared. I never paid attention to the authors, not until I got into my 40s and really got into certain authors, Brubaker, Vaughn, some of those other guys. Yeah, that's when I really.
My favorite.
Yes, mine too.
Brubaker, Chuck Dixon are my favorite as far as regular crime. This again, just to talk about this for a second. This is post-apocalyptic space invaders heist. So it's a crime heist. It's post-apocalyptic and it's a space invade. Three things. Well, I guess post-apocalyptic space invaders can work together, but then they throw the heist in. It's really good. But Dave Brink, who also makes great comics. Dave Brink, I don't know if you're familiar. He does genuine.
I went on the show. He's a good guy.
Oh yeah, Dave's a great guy, man. His comics are so good. I got Perfect 10 number 5 right here. He says writing a detective is tough, and I got to agree. Well, you're writing a really good detective now. Would it be fair to say that I could compare it to the first season of True Detective?
Absolutely, yeah. True Detective was a big inspiration. I had originally wrote a version of Dexter Detective before True Detective, but so in my Dexter Detective originally. So how it generated, the genesis of it was, you remember when we were looking for the Marines were looking for Osama bin Laden in Afghanistan caves back, many, before it was obviously killed. So this would probably be, I don't know, around George Bush Jr. time. So that's how long I've been writing. And they said some of the caves in Afghanistan are so dense that they have never been explored. So I thought, well, wouldn't it be a great story if these Marines go looking, they get trapped in this cave and they find this evil entity that's been trapped there for thousands of years and it gets released. And if you know Dexter Detective, this is what follows. And the main character becomes a detective in LA. His friend is the one that gets possessed. And his mother, the guy's possessed, is the mayor of LA. So he's been protected all these years. And when I originally wrote it, there was something missing that I wasn't quite satisfied. So it sat for many years. And then I listened to a podcast about the Dixie Mafia. These guys were like think of the New York Mafia, but of the South. You were talking Georgia, Tennessee, Kentucky, and they were drug runners, hitmen. I mean, the worst of the worst. And there was no story of the Dixie Mafia. I'd never, except for the Walking Tall movie, the original, which was based on a true story with.
And he just died yesterday. The actor from.
I didn't know that. Oh, that's right. I did hear about that. Yeah, great actor, very underrated actor.
I'm sorry, that movie just is like a nostalgic movie for my father. Looked like that guy, so you would get like a 2x4 and just be like, I don't want to have to go and clean up the neighborhood. Like he had all the kids in my neighborhood afraid of him.
Oh, that's great.
That had nothing to do with what you were talking. So the Dixie Box. So you got inspired by this.
Yeah. So I when I heard about the Dixie Mafia, I'm like, God, there's a story. I can't believe no one's wrote a story about it. And just the story kind of came together. Like a lot of my stories will be 2-3 different stories that'll kind of merge. It's same with my Alpha Dogs too. So that was the genesis really of Dexter Detective. And I love the thought of almost all my stories have flashbacks because I think there's nothing more visceral to a human being than their childhood and having to face the demons or an incident of their childhood and having to grow and face that and conquer it. So that's kind of how I approach Dexter Detective. It goes back and forth from when the detective is 8 years old, raised by moonshiners, proud 4 generations of moonshiners in North Georgia during Prohibition in those counties in 1982. And the Dixie Mafia come in to push this family out of their business. But they're good old Southern boys. They're like Bo and Luke Duke. It's like Dexter Detective is like a very dark episode of Dukes of Hazzard.
I love the setting. You know, if he's had this in LA, I do think it kind of would have just been like, just another LA.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? But the setting is really good. It's a good choice.
Yeah, and the Appalachian Mountains have that, urban legend to them of missing people, and there's so much material there that I don't think has really been used. And if I'm going to write something, invest all my money and my time and effort, it's going to be, in my mind, the best story possibly written. Of course, that's all our goal. So
right. I mean, I'm a Lovecraft freak. So you got these set, in the mountains with the old ways, and
yes. I love it. I love it.
Dark spirit you're coming up. Which, by the way, I got to show you this. This is one of the bad guys in my comic.
Oh, cool.
I just want to let you know his name is the Overshadow. I didn't rip you off.
He does look a little familiar.
Right. Right. He makes an appearance in Heroic Tales 2, which it's been in production before I read Dime Store's Detective. And then he'll be showing up in Patriarch #1. But I just wanted you to know, so there's a bad guy. The Overshadow. There you go.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's nice. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, it's so this evil entity that gets released by the detective's father and uncle in 82 out of a cave in the Appalachian Mountains has been trapped for hundreds of years by the Cherokee. And of course, it possesses the uncle. I shouldn't say, of course, because there's a lot of people that haven't heard the story. But and now somehow this evil entity has returned in the present, while the detective, our main character, is on a hunt for a serial killer. So there's a connection there. We'll find out more. But yeah, if you love True Detective, if you like LA Confidential, if you like Stephen King's It or Supernatural, then you're gonna love this comic. And I've been posting. I've been fortunate enough that a lot of people, even though I don't have a big audience readership, the people that do read it really love it. And I've been posting reviews from people, unsolicited reviews that like it. And the cool news, the best news is Dime Store Detective is going to be published. I have a publisher for it. So when it becomes a graphic novel, it's I was fortunate.
I got, I think, 1 to 4 in one shot.
Mm-hmm. And then, that's always been the complaint with Dime Store Detective, because it is that there's issue and you have to wait, and it's one of those stories that kind of, it's best to read, I suppose, all together. But I'm not complaining about that. I mean, that's the nature of indie comics. But when I was just like, all right, cool, issue number 5, then you launched Alpha Dogs, and I was like, oh man, I want to. That's how. Nothing against Alpha Dogs. I backed it. I didn't read it yet. Maybe that'll be my favorite. But I really like this. It's really good. I'm like Dave at Dover General Comics says, writing a detective is tough. So I'm trying to write a detective, but I'm cheating a little bit because he's got superpowers. So I don't have to go through and have him dusting everything like he could. You know what I mean? It's my lazy detective. Okay, he's a detective in a superhero world. Like Batman has to do detective work, but my guy can use his powers to make it a little easier for me. I'm not smart enough to write a detective. Well, that Watchmen really is a detective story if you think about it.
Yeah. Watchmen's a good detective story. You're right about that.
Yeah. So there's a lot of Dark Knight, but I mean, detective stories, I guess, are tough. Yeah, I mean, it's the only one I've written, but I have. So if everything goes and planets align, Dime Store Detective is 9 issues, and then it'll be 9 issues at all to complete it. And if everything goes well, then I'm gonna have another volume of Dime Store Detective, new characters, new story. It's a story I've been brewing for many, many years. So we'll see what happens. It depends how things go. The nice thing is
so it's Dime Store Detective. That's just your detective series. Like, is it going to be a new location, new characters, everything?
Yes, new location, new characters, new timeline. It's I don't want to get too much because this is going to be years away.
Hey, you don't want to spoil it. Let's focus on this, right? But I'm like unabashedly gushing. It's so. There's another comic, and now it's going to drive me nuts that I can't. It'll come to me, but there's 2 comics that I just said the writing is top notch. And I'm a superhero guy, and I'm raving about a detective comic. There's supernatural in this. Obviously, there's a spiritual demon. But the Ray guy is just a guy with guts and a gun. Yeah, Marcus,
oh, yeah.
you write the mystery story backwards. I'm trying to do that. Marcus is writing he's drawing my detective story. So
okay.
See how that works. Hey, Bogan rating.
Yeah.
This is Michael Bancroft's guys are rating. Cool. Thank you guys. The Australians are coming. Speaking of writing a story backwards, the Australians stand backwards.
There you go. That's funny. But yeah, there's a lot of great covers on here too. I've got 3.
Let's bring up your campaign again and check out all of these. Yeah.
Like I said, I encourage anybody, if they missed it, to watch the trailer. I mean, the trailer is just really great. I think this is the best one we've done so far. But there's a preview of where we have been through the story. Going to catch people up. Yeah, no,
it's just as good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, one of my pet peeves is you see this wonderful cover art, then the interior art is garbage. But this is some examples of the interior art.
Yeah, it's great. And that first cover is by the interior artist. The awesome, that one right there. That's my interior artist drew that. Alfredo Redmar, he does great work. Him and Gaston, they work together. I have them as a team for my covers. They do amazing. I mean, as you can see, I love how it's almost like a hologram, that cover with the eyes, the golden eyes. It's really great.
It's funny because I when I was reading your book and I saw this image, I panicked. I'm like, I gotta let him know I didn't rip him off. I gotta let him know with the overshadow.
No, hey man, you know what? I've been compared to to my wife. She was like, "This is kind of like True Detective." When it starts out with a woman, Dexter Detective begins with a woman strung up in a tree, nude. So that's kind of like True Detective. And it is a little bit, but it's a totally different story. I wanted to start out with a bang to grab people's attention. So that's how this. And I do
like when you first told me that you were going to jump back and forth between the past and the present, and the past was black and white, and the present, and I was like, I don't know if I like, but now I love it. It's so good. It's so clear. It's not confusing. One of my big things is, and please, anybody who's watching this, judge my comics just as harshly, is I'm really strict with storytelling, meaning, can I figure out what's going on by the panels? Like, sometimes the art is jarring, but so I was just like, if he's going to have pages that are colored and pages that are black and white, and then the characters are going to be older and younger, this is going to be, but no, you pull it off. There is no confusion. There's no, I always say, like, this, like, if the storytelling is off, you get like this disconnect.
Absolutely, If you lose them, if you start losing people in the beginning of the story, then just forget about it, pack up and go home. So that's why I had the past in black and white. And actually, the publisher who's going to be publishing has mentioned this a few times. So I'm finally just going to bite the bullet. What I'm going to do with the black and white is we're going to do a sepatone.
I was just going to suggest that.
Yeah. I wanted to do it, but I haven't made any money on these Kickstarters for Dexter Detective. I've lost.
I don't. So. I get where you're coming from. Yeah. So
I
was thinking the right story just to save money, but like I can't do it. I can't do it. This cover is amazing. I'm this. This is beautiful.
Yeah,
I'm a sucker for the cultists with the curvy knives. You know what I mean? So I love this.
Yeah. So what Dexter Detective really is a love story to the old pulp dime store magazines, back in the 30s. Not so much the stories, but the art. The art is what, and so Jeffrey Hayes, who's, as you can see, just amazing. He won like 3 awards this year for his cover on his novel. So he did that one. I have him do all my pulp variants for me because he's always knocks it out of the park. And he's from Plastic Graphics. And so he did the last one too, which was great. You can get that one too on this Kickstarter, as well as other cover with a tier that has every cover that is available. So it's great. It's a really cool throwback to the old pulp dime store magazines.
I'd like to think I have some goodwill with my viewers. I mean, I really, really, really like this. Also, keep in mind, you know what you're getting. You're getting a detective story with the supernatural element, you know, because I'm kind of known as the superhero guy, you know what I mean? So I don't want to lead anybody straight, but I love, if anybody's ever read like, why does the name, Miss Tree? I mean, Miss Tree is full on detective. There's no supernatural or anything like that, but I get that feel. I just love that. I like my wood, like I like my knives curvy. Well, there you go.
Yeah. What I like doing is I like blending two genres when I write a story, so that once you get your fill, and it's like anything. They do it with Marvel a little too much, but when you have all this action, and then you got your fall with the comedy. For me, a little too much, but whatever. So with my, what I like to do a story is, have this genre and it builds and builds, and then you have this other genre that kind of connects to it. So there's never a dull moment in my comics, and I don't do exposition. I like the panels to tell the story. And I think it's worked out well. People have really enjoyed it. I mean, I was able to get a publisher for Alpha Dogs and now for this. Only about, I think, like 2%, 3% of writers actually get a publisher. So the fact that these are now going to be published, that's Protect will be next year that's going to be published, because you've got a 9 month.
Can you tell which publisher is going
to? I don't want to say it because they want to make the announcement. So
okay.
It doesn't take a rocket science to probably figure it out. But anyway, so Source Point Press publishes my Alpha Dogs comics, and they've been great. I've been working with them. They've got some big announcements coming up. So if that tells you anything, hopefully you get the clues. But so it's been really great working with them.
Let's go down your tier. So $6, you get the digital, for you youngins who like to read things on your tablets, but $10 for your comic. How many pages is it?
So this is 24.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, and then if anybody missed out on issue 2 or 3, I offer 1 through 4 individuals, just in case somebody missed out on one and wants to back. I've had a couple people back issue 1, but that's been about it. Everybody else is either getting all 5 issues, or the new issue of 5. But so these are some of the early bird. Now I do still have the early. I forgot to take the early bird down for cover. See this cover you're looking at. So actually, and I'm just going to leave it up, whatever. It's all good. So if somebody wants to get this cover here at a discount, you can do that right now.
I got it back. I'll back as soon as we're done. I don't need anybody seeing my credit card information pop up.
Yeah. But and then if you want, you can get what's called the special edition cover. So if you back it, it's like $3 more. You get this Kickstarter exclusive sticker. That's that face that you see from cover A. I signed the comic. Your name is on a thank you page at the end of the comic. So that's kind of a cool thing. And like I said, it's only like I think like $3 or $4 more for all the cool goodies on here. And then if you want to get just the digital of all 5 issues, I'm only charging $25 for it. You get I think it's like 120 pages worth of comic for only $25.
All 3 covers. That's cool. That is cool.
Yeah.
I don't know which cover. I was about to lie to you. I was gonna say I don't know which cover I like the best. Well, I like this one the best. This is
it's amazing.
I like them all. Oh man, that's a tough choice.
Yeah, I've been very fortunate to get the artist I have. Fernando Malik, he did cover B, the one with a gun holding a Detective Kelly, our female on there. He's the interior artist for Alpha Dogs, who does amazing work as well, of course. And you've got the evil being hovering behind him with Detective McInerney when he's 8 and as an adult.
Yeah, this is everything you've ever put out, the collection, right?
Yes. This is every comic I've ever done. I can tell you that you don't have to take my word for it. There's a lot of reviews for my comics. Again, not to beat a dead horse, but Alpha Dogs was signed by a publisher, Dime Store Detective. So you're getting good comics for a cheap price. $110 for 5 issues of Alpha Dogs, 5 issues of Dime Store, and issue 1 of Space Cruise, in which I decided to put the brakes on that to get through Dime Store Detective and Alpha Dogs. But I can't wait to jump back into Space Cruise. I'm trying to get through.
So guys, he's writing a supernatural detective story, a space adventure, and a superhero animal story. So there you go. What else do you know? What else do you got a genre that gotta like something about that? You know what I mean? It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Hey, now I'm old and I love reading them on my tablet. But to be fair, it's because I'm lazy. I don't know. I don't think it's lazy. I think it's a lot of people live in an apartment. They don't have space for comics, and then a lot of people just I don't know. It's a generational thing. A lot of youngins just they used to read, or they want to read on the subway or read on the bus. You know what I mean?
Oh,
I understand. I see a lot of guys reading comics on the subway now that I'm back in Manhattan.
Wow, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah, there's
Mega Bus.
I've actually been going more towards the digital just because I lay in bed. I'm getting older. My eye center is great, and we have dim, so I can't read a comic as well as I could. But when I have my tablet, it's brighter. So I just read a really great comic the other day, and of course I'm blanking on it now, so I have to look it up.
I sit in this chair and I have my comic on my easel and I have a cup of coffee, and I'm not one of these people that like, oh, it has to be mint, but I try to touch the comic as little as possible. Like I just flip the page, it stays on the easel, because I got my cup of coffee in my hand, and then I bag it and board it. So most of my comics stay in really good shape. But
good.
But I enjoy. And then I put it bag and board them out, and I like going through my collection, take it out of box and look at that stuff. Yeah, I'm a very tactile person, so
yeah,
not the same. I want to look through the files. I don't get the same feeling.
Exactly.
Now, I live on 3-floor house. Do you have any idea how much crap I can hoard? Yeah, Lacey needs to be saved from herself. All over the film. I was just talking to somebody. Just got hit with a property tax bill. Oh my God.
Yeah, they're insane.
I found out about it by getting a late notice. It would have been nice to get you're not late notice.
Jeez, that's terrible.
Yeah. The worst of all taxes. I'm being taxed to be, I gotta be somewhere.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Taxing the property that you I guess rent from the county, I suppose.
Yeah. So this is the mega bundle. What's the difference between the mega bundle and the collection?
So the collection is all of the covers of Dime Store, every cover available of Dime Store Detective, all the variants. The next one is the collection, which is all of my comics. Alpha Dogs, Dime Store Detective, Space Cruising. Yeah, mega bundle is every. There's a lot of people that love all the covers. I mean, honestly, all the covers are. Really cool.
I see. It's all the covers for Dime Store Detective. So
that are available. Yeah,
I got you. That's pretty smart. Oh, original artwork. Cool.
Yeah, so there's only 5 of them. Well, now 4 because somebody bought it. One of them. So issue 1 was hand drawn. Half of issue 2 was hand drawn, and everything else was digital. So I only have a few original. It's the only original art of any of my comics that I actually own. And as much as I'd love to hold on to all of it, I've got to come up with money to pay for this thing. So
I hear Renzo, my artist, sent me a big bundle of all original artwork. Some of it for work that he's done with other people, and I see all of my pages, and that Dragon Hoarder immediately wants them, but I got to pay for that. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I'm pleading with you, people, go to my campaign page and buy all of the Heroic Tales original artwork, because I will. You know what I mean? Like, come over and eat my Twinkies, because I'm going to eat them all if you don't.
Exactly.
So, I know exactly. A virtual meet and greet. How much for a real meet and greet? I'll drive over, have dinner with the family.
Free for you, John.
Oh, there you go.
I put out there in case somebody wants to talk to me, pick my brain about comics or whatever, chit chat about the comics that I create. I put out there because they always say put out a big tier. I never expect anybody to back it, but I've been fortunate enough that almost every time one person has backed that tier, so it's pretty cool.
Oh, cool. That's an idea. I never thought. I don't know. I just don't think anybody would ever pay to hang out with me. Who am I?
Yeah. And those are the tiers that are already sold out. Those were the early bird tiers I did. I did like a $2 discount. So
there you go. Early bird gets the discount.
Exactly. So
yeah, this is I really, really do like this. Again, I think my viewers, could tell I if I don't like something, I just don't talk about it.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you like it.
There's been a couple of comics that people specifically asked me about, and I don't want to lie, so I told them I didn't like this, I didn't like that. One of them got me in a lot of trouble, but but for the most part, I don't talk about comics that I don't like, because sometimes I like the person and I don't want to hurt their feelings. But I also don't want to be like, "Oh, this is really great," and then my people people watch me like, that guy's not credible. So I'm telling you this. Dime Store Detective is really good. John's okay, but Dime Store Detective is really good.
Yeah. I don't care if you think I'm an asshole. Just buy my comic book.
just buy my book.
Exactly.
Okay. We're blue collar workers. We got to stick together. But
exactly.
That's why I want. So you wrote like a screenplay that like went through the ranks and almost. So this is gonna sound mean, but like it's the same thing. I always wanted to be a writer, but I got distracted, and now I'm an electrician. So, but you got like screenplays almost published, you got novels almost published, and comics now being published. So I guess you just had to pay the bills in the meantime, and now you do an engineer. Yeah.
I mean, 99% of screenplays don't make it to production. That's what happened to mine. I had gotten to the semifinals of the Academy Awards screenwriting contest 2 years in a row for my Western, which I'm going to write as a comic eventually, but it's a great historical fiction screenplay that eventually, once I can hopefully get big enough that I want to turn into a graphic novel, we'll see what happens. So.
What if you don't mind me asking, what period are you setting it in?
So it would be turn of the century. It's called The Weeping Trees. Is my screenplay. You can look it up if you don't believe me. It's called The Weeping Trees. So it's about the true story. Back when rubber was, well, I shouldn't say someone was still my idea, but I'll tell you anyway. So back in,
nobody watches this. Don't worry about it.
So, give you the elevator, pitch as fast as I can. Back in the turn of the century, when tires for cars were being made, cars were being invented, they had to have rubber tires. And in the Amazon jungle, that's where all the rubber trees were. And what happened is they were called rubber barons. These rich aristocrats were down there buying land and exporting the rubber out of these trees. They would make these rubber balls, and they would enslave the Indians there. And they decided they were going to, the reason they enslaved them is because they wanted to build this railroad. It was called the Devil's Railway that was going to go across the Amazon jungle to a port, create this port so they could transport the rubber.
This is true.
Yes, this really happened. This is a terrible lesson in greed, I suppose.
Belgium did the same thing in Congo for rubber. Like 20 years before Hitler, there was I forget the guy's name, the king of Belgium.
I think you're talking about King Leopold.
Yeah, King Leopold. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's funny because when you argue with people, they go, "You're worse than Hitler." I always say, "You're worse than King Leopold."
Yeah, he was probably worse. Really.
You know what I mean? And people are
millions.
I'm like, if not for Hitler, people would be comparing to King Leopold. But he did the same thing in Africa, killed people for rubber. The history of rubber is a real brutal, horrible. Yeah.
So what they did is they imported all these laborers from all over the world to build this railroad. Well, the malaria...
talk slower so he can copy your ideas faster.
So what ended up happening, to give you the long short of it, is thousands. I think about 200, at least 200. It's off the top of my head. It was a long time since I wrote the epilogue after I wrote the screenplay. So something like 300,000 workers died of either Indian attacks or malaria or the creatures of the jungle killing them, mostly from malaria, and like 1 million Indians died from being attacked and fighting against the rail workers. So in my story, it's a Western. It's this guy who works on the Railroad America, comes over here to work on the Devil's Railway, and the real irony of this whole incident that took place these years, by the time they built the railway, they had stolen the seeds for the rubber trees in other places. So the railway was basically abandoned less than 5 years, it was obsolete. So all the death for nothing, really. So nobody who listens steal this idea, because this will become a graphic novel or hopefully a movie one day. So
Are you? I take it you're interested in historical fiction.
that's my second favorite genre, with the exception of true life adventure stories. I mean,
There's a wonderful comic called Tinseltown by
okay.
by Dave Lucarelli. He's been on my channel a few times, and if you can find, he's got it in a trade paperback. It's easy to get, or you could go to alternativecomics.com and 4 issues. But it's so good. It's about a woman who becomes a cop in Hollywood. He makes up an imaginary studio, but it's based on real story. But her father's a cop. She wants to be a cop, but she's not really a cop. She's just acting like a cop. They give her a uniform and they just tell her to go on patrol. But then things happen and people respond to the uniform, and it turns out she's a pretty good cop.
Oh, cool.
You know what I mean? It's a really And then the second series is she's hired. Well, the studio goes down to Mexico, and they're filming in Mexico, but they don't know. It's all like a money laundering scheme for like Mexicans were allied with Germany in World War I, and it's all set up to invade. It's so good. Right up your alley. When you were talking about this, I said you got to read Tinseltown. It's so good.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Well, it sounds. I mean, have you ever read Brubaker's? It's called Femme Fatale or Fatale. I can't remember.
I sat and I read that one sitting. 24 comic.
Yeah, no, that's my favorite. Yeah, that's my favorite comic of his.
Yeah, I don't blame him. That is the whole premise of that is you fall in love with this woman, and then something horrible happens to you. I dated that girl.
Okay, maybe I'm thinking of a different one. So, what's the one that takes place in the old studio system?
Right, that's it. Yeah,
that's it. Okay, yeah.
He's like
this
immortal being that is just like. I forget. It's been so long. I forget if she acts innocent or if she is innocent, but yet she's cursed. I got to reread it again. But it is
it's been so long. But it was
anything so with right. He wrote a comic called Criminal.
And that's great too. And I think that's the television series they're making, right?
They are. Oh, I gotta watch it. But Criminal, it's just like short stories about crime. And one of them, did you read the one? It's set. You don't realize it at first, but it's Archie. It's Archie and Riverdale and Jughead and everybody.
Oh, really?
It's so like you're about a third away from the comic, and you're like, "Oh, he's goofing on Archie," but it's so good. It's
Oh gosh, it's been so long.
He's got a new comic now that I've been buying, but I haven't read them yet because I buy too many comics. But yeah, I love Brubaker. He's so good.
Yeah. I pretty much probably read everything that he's come out with in the last forever.
Did you read Sleeper?
He's my favorite writer.
He had Sleeper, a secret agent that's undercover.
Yeah,
but the only person on the good guys who knows he's undercover is in a coma. So
yeah,
nobody believes him. And it's set in the Image superhero world. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then the thing that gets me is his girlfriend. If she likes you, bad things happens to you. So she has to be mean to you for the bad things everything's backwards with her. So like she has to like break his heart and slap him around to show him that it's really, really twisted, but it's so good.
Yeah.
Marcus yeah. I have a different story where there's a character called King Leopold. It's in the future in Neapolis. So anyway, we're distracted, but that's what I do.
I'm hoping one day Brubaker never does cons, but my dream is to actually hand him Dime Store Detective because I think he'd really enjoy it. Yeah. I actually had speaking of handing off people that are amazing. So for the last few years, I have been wanting, I won't say years, but at least the last year, I've been wanting to have my comic, Kevin Smith, to read my comics, because it would be, for me, a big deal. He's kind of like comic, he's what every young filmmaker, comic writer would love to be, Kevin Smith. I mean, I don't really, to be honest, watch his movies, but I love what he's been able to do. He seems like such an amazing guy. That I wanted to get my comics in Jay and Silent Bob's comic book store in New Jersey. So I actually had wrote to him, to the comic book store, and I was fortunate. I don't know if you know Michael Zabek,
Yeah.
comic book man. He he actually read Dime Store Detective, and I had called him a month prior to, and he hadn't got to me. A extremely busy guy, you know. And then about I think it's been about a week and a half now. I called him back and I asked him if he had a chance to read my books, and he said, "Well, I just got a chance to read Dime Store Detective, but in our store we have very limited space for
Yeah,
indie
well, I've
creators."
been there.
Yeah,
Me and my wife, I live in New York, so we drove out there just to,
yeah,
we went out there and then we watched Diners, Dives, and Drives, and there was
yeah.
so we're like, oh, that place is near that comic store. So we went there, the comic store, then we went to this place. It was back when we first got married. We used to go to all the diners, dives, and drives that were close to us. But anyway, I've been there. It's tiny, it's packed. You know what I mean? But it was cool. It's a well organized store. So
Yeah.
I'm so detective. That is pretty cool.
So he read Dime Store Detective, and he said, we have very limited space for indie comics, and plus I'm not from Jersey. But he said, I liked it. It was a very compelling story, and I'm going to have my comic books. He said he'll take all 5 issues of each of my comics to put on a shelf. So
cool.
To get into his comic book store is really big for me. So it's going to be. I'm going to wait till Dime Store Detective is printed. And so I'll be sending. So if anybody's in probably 2 months, my comics will be sitting on the shelf of Jay and Silent Bob. So it's a big get for me.
Yeah, that's cool. It's a pretty cool store. It's well run. And I remember that. What was the name? It was called Comic Book Men, right? It was the 3 guys. Yeah. I watched. I think every episode of that. But the blonde guy, right? There's one guy shorter guy with black hair. That guy knows a lot about comics.
I think it's Michael, right? Michael.
Yeah, he's got to be the one. He knows his comics.
Yeah.
The guy who's in the show, I was just like, if they could just edit him out of every episode.
Yeah. Then of course I had to ask Michael if there's any way Kevin will read my comics. He's like, man, I don't recommend anything to him. He's a very busy guy. So, but hey, if you don't try, you don't ask, then
that's been my philosophy. You don't get what you don't ask for. I've been amazed that people came on my channel. I just took a shot in the dark, and they said yes.
Yeah, exactly. And the funny thing is that week that I had written to Jay and Silent Bob's comic book store, that weekend, coincidence, I don't know. Jason Mewes, Jay from Jay and Silent Bob, he was at the Fantasticon in Toledo, and I'm like, man, it's got to be serpentility. It's got to be kismet, man. So I walked over and asked him if he'd be interested in taking my comics. And I explained that I'm in the process of Michael looking at mine. So he said, yeah. So Jason has all my comics. So
that's cool.
Who knows? 1 in 100 shot. You got to take your shot, man.
I know, like, comics to me are the end. Like I just want to make comics. I don't care if they get made into anything else. I like comics, but Dime Store Detective is perfect for like a movie or a TV show or a Netflix show. It is. I think it transcends comic. Like my comic heroic tales, I want it to be a comic book. Like I think it would be ruined if it was a movie or a TV show. You know what I mean? But Dime Store Detective, it's such a good comic, but it would be a good Netflix show. It would be a compelling show. Like I don't know. So, like some comic book story, like I'm getting tired of all the Marvel movies. Just let them stay comics. But I'm still, I think would be I could see like go to see that Chuck Dixon's Levon Cade movie and Dime Store Detective, or you said it's going to be 9 issues, so maybe a 9 episode Netflix series. Lisa, she's going to take a shot and ask, "Can I have my Captain America shit?" Yeah, come on down and take it. You got to drive down, take it.
Good luck. You might reach back with a stub.
you got to fight me. You got to bring your sword. I got Excalibur. There we go.
Yeah, I've had so many people ask me, "Oh man, you should get a hold of Netflix and have him make it into a show." And it's not that easy. Yeah, just
call him up.
Pick up the phone.
Dials, just dial Netflix. Just call them up. They just got a guy there. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, let's go. It's not that easy. If it was that easy.
I think you're right. I think you're right. I think it is called Fade Out. I wasn't sure if Fatal. I couldn't. Yeah.
Yeah, Fatale is about this knockout woman. She looks like a 40s
Yeah.
pinup
Yeah. Yeah. I've read about everything.
and everybody falls for her, but she is the Fatale. She's death on sexy legs. The Fade Out. Yeah, the Fade Out. That's the one that I have that I haven't read yet.
Oh, that's my favorite Brubaker.
Everybody says that. That's the best one, and you haven't read it yet. I'm gonna
go shop. You're in for a treat, man. That's his. I think that's his best. That would make a great movie too. So it's not known as his. I mean, Criminal and God, what's the other one that's so popular of his? He's got Criminal. He's got another one it's kind of similar to Criminal. Well, not really. It's the guy who is basically a gun for hire. He's got the girl that they live in the movie theater. You know what I'm talking about? He owns a movie theater, and they go out and he gets hired to basically deal with bad people. I'm gonna look it up. Anyway, that's a great one.
But it's always Brubaker and Sean Phillips, the artist, right?
Yeah.
And I forget. I'm blanking on the colorist now, but it's always
there's Jacob. I think Jacob, right? Jacob, and
I look forward to it.
Yeah,
I want, because with detective stories, for me, I always try to play beat the writer. I'm like, oh, where's he going? Where's he going with this?
Yes.
So if I read like a 12 issue at Brubaker's, I'm not going to remember all the details if I read it. Mm-hmm. So I tend to take his and I wait for them to be done, and then I read them all in one sitting, because then I can retain all the information. So I think that's what I did with the Fade Out, and I haven't read it yet. I kind of forgot it. Let's go Dime Store Detective. Yeah, pick it up. It's a good comic, Ernest. Hey, K-Pop, how you doing? Yo.
How you doing, K-Pop and Ernest? Thanks for all the sharing my campaigns. They've been really good to me, and I still have to get on K-Pop show before this campaign ends, hopefully. But yeah, as far as figuring it out, that's the biggest, I think, toughest part of writing a detective story is that, or a mystery, is if you want the reader to be right there, but a step behind, because you don't want to lose them. You want to keep them interested, but you've got to throw out the red herrings so that if they figure out the story, then it doesn't leave an impact. You want that reader to be like, oh my God, but not so, oh my God, that it was, there's a technique that I can't recall off the top of my head. Basically, everything works out perfectly for the hero. And, the murderer was this person, and then they bring somebody at the last minute and they're the murderer. Well, so you can't figure out who the murderer is.
Yeah.
And so with Dime Store Detective, the murder is right in front of our eyes, and we're going to find out on the last panel of the new issue. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And then the story takes a really interesting turn. So I probably shouldn't have said all that, but you still don't know who the murderer is. But you're going to find out at the end of this.
Well, I tell you this, because it's a detective story, and I read 1 to 4. I'm going to reread 1 to 4 before I read 5 again. So when I get 5, because I'm sure you dropped clues someplace, you know what I mean? And I got to reread, that's just the way I am. I got to know. And I enjoy that. Like if I beat you, I get a little disappointed. I'm like, I'm not that smart.
Yeah.
I shouldn't beat Jon Dexter. Jon Dexter's going to beat me. Oh, I never thought. I love that though. It's so much fun.
Well, I'll just tell you the murderer is. So I show up in the comic. It's really great.
It's Jon Dexter all along.
Yeah, I wave to the camera with an.
It's just literal self-insert.
Yes. I've got the curved knife.
So somebody said on Twitter today that and I really love this comment that don't insert yourself into a story. A story is kind of created, and you're just telling a story the way it happens. Don't subvert the story for your personal agenda. And it's funny because I'm sure you didn't hear me say it, but 2 weeks ago, I literally woke up in the morning with 2 fully formed stories in my head. And I love when that happens. Like it happens once in a while. Like I love dreaming. I have, my wife says I smile in my sleep and I giggled, and I love, because my dreams are always so pleasant. But I woke up with 2 fully formed stories, and all I really had to do was transcribe what already happened. And like, what do you think? Do you like do you think it's wrong to like insert your politics or your beliefs into a story, or is the story the end means itself?
Yeah, I mean, hopefully, well, when it comes to me, I don't like politics. I don't think because when it comes to politics, it's they say, well, half is Republican, half is Democrat. Well, so if you're inserting your belief, and my belief is that I'm trying to work out the math here. So like 35 is Republican, 35 I'm talking about comic readers are Democrat, and then 30% don't give a care. They don't care. They don't want your politics. So honestly, if you start inserting, you put yourself on this little pedestal or soapbox. Well, you've already lost over half your readers. So that's a problem. And I do agree with the person about inserting yourself is that the story should flow. If you're, I mean, for me, I don't know about anybody else. For me, if I got to sit here and think about it, then there's something wrong. The story should be just climbing and building in your mind. That for me anyway, until it just bursts out. That's how I write. Dumpster Detective was literally written in 3 weeks. So I just took notes and did a lot of notes. And then when I couldn't take it anymore, I would sit in my truck before work. So I'd have to start working at like 6, so I'd get there at 5. Write issue 1 in one sitting, and then edit it the next day. Write issue 2, and then the next day edit it. Then 3 and edit. So Dumpster Detective really did not take very long, but that's because it was years. I had written it in one form many years ago, so it was just waiting there to be told.
Let me ask you the invisible hand writer, like Chuck Dixon says. Yes, yeah, I agree. I'm trying. I'm not saying I'm succeeding, but I'm trying. Now, as a comic book writer, somebody asked me this the other day, and all I could say is, when do you know when to turn the page? Like when you're writing your script, like how many panels should you put on a page? How many? And my answer was like, it's gut. Like there's no answer. Like this, I sent the script out to a guy, and the first page is a splash page, 1 panel.
Yeah.
And the second page is a 2-page spread. Why? Because to me, that's the way the story goes.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way the story. So that's 3 pages, and it's only 2 panels. And then the third page is 2 panels, and then it breaks down into 4 or 5, whatever normal panel. But it starts out big because it's larger than life, literally, and then you realize how tiny this guy's real life is. But my answer is that's the way I felt. That's what the story needed. Now, do you have like a formula, or do you play it by the seat of your pants? Like when you write a page?
So page 1 is always a splash page because your intention is to jump at the person and grab them by the throat. And so in issue 1, in issue 5, the first page is a splash page of you see it on the campaign is the dead woman, just her face.
Yeah, what a shock. Yeah. That's the hook. You're hooked after that. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So, and then I honestly, usually it's 5 panels for me, unless it's something dynamic that's going to happen, or if it's talking heads, it can be 6 to 8 panels. But on average, I would say I'm pretty much a 5-panel guy.
So that's your default 5 panels?
Yes. Yeah. I'm a 5-panel guy. Unless
that's when I started. Again, you have more comics than me, so I defer to you. But that was just like, if I don't know what to do, it's going to be 5 panels.
Yeah.
Exactly. That would, and now I'm starting to be like, I kind of look at it as each page is almost like a scene.
Yeah.
Okay, so like, okay, they're in the desert eating ice cream cones. I don't know. I'm just making something up. Yeah, and then they're in a car driving because they realize they missed a clue. So that would be the page break. Them going to because like this whole theme of this page is in the desert eating ice. I know. I'm just making this up off the top of my head. None of my comics have that, although ice cream cone sounds good right now. But what I'm saying, like this page, I try to have like if these guys are in the jungle over here and then the spaceship takes off, I think having the spaceship, it would kind of be like a disconnect. It feels more natural to like turn the page and that.
Changes. Oh yeah. I mean, if it's a new scene, then you want to turn the page unless you're transitioning to something. Now, this I didn't read a book. This is just how I.
Right. Yeah.
I've never read a writing book about comic. I read a lot of screenwriting books though.
See, I never read screenwriting books, but I did read a lot of comic book writing books. Maybe I should read a screenwriting book too.
I mean, yeah. But so like that scene that you've seen in the trailer with him as a little kid, and the next is him as an adult in that same pose. Well, that's a different scene, but you want to transition. So I'm transitioning, but you want to keep the thread of the story and have a good transition. So it's it's how you feel. I mean, and it's you play it how it feels when you're writing a story, I suppose. So.
All right, I promise I'll throw ice cream. Patriarch's got 7 kids. One of them could have an ice cream cone, guys. All right. Hope you have been a blessed day. Thank you, Zach Tan. Marcus Kell, that could be poinsettia. The Public Enemy. The Public Eye is my noirish character. He's got he's solving mysteries, but he also has the ability where he could, or does he have the more I let loose about this character, the more but he himself is a mystery.
Okay.
And then the comic is going to be called I Love a Mystery. Poinsettia kind of falls for him, and she's trying to solve him while he's trying to solve a crime. So there you go.
Oh, cool. That sounds interesting.
Yeah, he's a loony. He's a loony tune. I love writing him. So yeah, she can eat an ice cream cone. Sexy chick eating an ice cream cone. That'll sell a comic.
Yes, it will. Yes, it will.
Anything you want to say that I didn't give you a chance to say because I'm unfocused and scattered?
We talked to me.
Yeah, anything because I talk too much. Anything because
no,
an hour now. It's time to wind down. So anything.
Just tell people to come check out the Kickstarter. It's a great comic, as John pointed out. I can almost promise you and almost give you a money back guarantee that you will enjoy this comic if you read it. It's I believe it's one of the most original comics you're going to find, as is Alpha Dogs. You're not going to find another one on the shelf like it.
I really, really like it. Like I can't wait for the next issue. There's comics like this is one of my favorite superhero comics. Dave Brink's Perfect 10. Mm-hmm. I love all of his comics. Your comic is just a great detective comic. I love it.
Well, thanks.
Yeah.
I'm really hoping. I'm really hoping that the graphic novel, once it's published in stores. Now, granted, it's creator owned, so I'm still making the phone calls to the bookstores. I'm still the one trying to do 90% of the work to get the word out on it. So my hope is that it can get big enough that I can start pumping out issues a lot quicker. So the cool thing about issue 5 is it's already drawn. It's done. I'm actually going to send the script to an editor to look it over and then send it out. So my ultimate goal is to have it ready for the printer by the time the Kickstarter's finished, so that people aren't going to be waiting a long time.
Oh, cool.
The great thing is the artwork is finished. It was done a long time ago. So I could be waiting months and months for my comic. I'm already actually fulfilling Alpha Dogs 5 as we speak. And that just got over with 2 months ago. So I do quick fulfillments, and Dime will be no less. So
cool.
Yeah.
K-pop says it's a good read. Oh, I clicked on the wrong one. It's a good read. Yeah.
Fast
turnarounds. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I can't wait. I hope to be able to become a good enough writer to write a good detective story someday.
I'm sure you are.
I think detective and comedy are probably the two toughest.
Yeah, comedy's tough. I don't know if you read my Space Cruising, but that was a comedy / adventure story. So comedy's tough, but I think I did a good job with Space Cruising with having some comedy in there. And I encourage anybody who hasn't read any of my work to get the collection.
All your stuff is good, man. I didn't read Alpha Dogs yet. That I didn't read that, but I backed it. It'll come. But comedy is, I don't know. It's timing in a comic book. It's tough.
Yes, and it's in the toughest thing about comedy is what's funny to one person might not be to another person. So you want to kind of and this is kind of a key to any story, is you want to have characters that a person cares about. Kramer would run through the door and everybody would cheer and laugh. Well, he didn't do anything funny, but you like that character so much. And I believe that I've done the same thing with Ace, the alien with the cowboy hat and the roller tube bomber jacket, that you like that character enough that what he say is it's, once it's a wrestling term, once you're over, you can do no wrong. And so
Right.
I think that's the case. Hopefully people feel that way with that space cruising. So
I guess K-pop likes them.
yeah. I'm gonna have so much fun when I continue on that series, because that's been pretty much written for the first storyline. So
Cool.
hopefully
looking forward to all your stuff, man. I really like it. You know, good comics. It's
I appreciate
well written, well written. So we're gonna stop now. It's a little over an hour. So
boy, it went fast. I thought I was only here for like 15 minutes.
It's funny because I used to dread doing, I don't know this person. How am I going to speak for an hour? And now I'm like, oh my God, it's an hour already.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's always great to talk to John. I really appreciate you taking your time out to allow me on your show. And
let me know if you ever come to New York to a convention or anything like that.
That's my dream. That's definitely one of the big ones. That's probably that in San Diego. Those are my two big ones. That
and if you do go to whatever the Kevin Smith store, the Secret Stash, let me know. I can meet you there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm hoping, man. I was really hoping that he'd invite me to Free Comic Book Day, but it was like literally 2 days before Free Comic Book Day or 3 days before we actually got to speak. So I didn't want to.
If you had 3 people in that store, it would be packed. It's a tiny store.
That's what I hear. But it's very.
I couldn't even imagine. It would have to be a nice day and tables outside, because it is. But the whole block is like an outdoor mall.
Okay.
So, you know what I mean? So it's really like, my wife liked the whole neighborhood. It's like a artsy fartsy little. They got like a nice little artsy fartsy movie theater, little coffee shops. It's a nice place to have a comic book store. I'm sure only Kevin Smith could afford to have a comic book store there. You know?
Yeah, and that was the cool thing that I was so appreciative of that, is they have such little space, and that they're gonna put all of my comics on their shelf. That's
cool.
It's really cool, and I think it's a testament that, these are good comic books. The only one he had read was Dexter Detective, and he enjoyed it enough to let nobody like me, somebody he doesn't know from Adam, somebody not from Jersey, to actually have a space on the shelf is really cool.
All right. Well, thanks a lot. Thanks,
thank you.
Thanks for watching. And tomorrow at 6:00, Adam Lawson will be on, and he wants me to react to his top 10 comics of all time, and then he asked me to do my top 10. I'm going to do my personal favorite comics.
Oh, I got to remember to tune in for that.
I'm going to talk about my top 10, which I'm kind of loath to do, but I don't want to hurt Adam's feelings. So Adam, you make me do something I don't want to do. I feel like I got but that'll be
to see if a dime store is on your top 10. Oh. I'm just kidding.
Number two. and then we're gonna do it's Clobber Time at 8:30. Thanos first Dark Side. So there you go. Fun. Yeah, that'll be fun. All right. So see you, everybody. Thanks a lot.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.